Hello, this is Dr. Audrey Sussman from the Anxiety Control Center, and today we're going to be talking about loneliness and fear of rejection. What stimulated my desire to talk about this is I had a couple of questions this week from single people who are feeling lonely. I want to just read you I'm going to do a compilation of what I've been gotten on emails. One person says that he's lonely, that he's a professional, he's actually a good listener. The way he puts it, I'm not bad looking, I'm educated, I'm curious, I'm kind, and yet I still am alone. I got another one from a woman who said, she was walking in the street and she saw a nice looking guy and she looked at him. She smiled at him, he smiled back, and she wanted to talk to him, but she just kept walking. And then yet another person said they were at a singles event and they saw someone who smiled. That person smiled back and yet could not take the next step to go over and have a conversation. And basically all three of these people are saying it keeps happening again and again and again. One person put it, he said, it's like walking inside of a robot. And it's almost like he has no control of what he really wants, and his body keeps walking. And yet all of these people are educated, they're interesting people, and yet this fear of being rejected if the person were to perhaps not want to talk to them is getting in the way. So what do we do? What is this really about? So what do we do about it? First of all, the fear of being rejected comes from old core wounds that usually happen somewhere before 6 years old. So if you know that the reason that you feel like somebody's taken over your body, it's kind of because that little kid who lives in you, under 6 years old, is going like, oh no, I don't want to suffer that pain of rejection again. I don't want to feel like I'm not doing it right. It's just not worth the pain. So if you realize that little kid who lives in you, that younger self, is the one who is having the fear, it will make more sense that instead of being angry at yourself or at the little kid who's triggering this response who lives in you, you want to actually be doing something that is called acceptance. Okay, first step. When you recognize that you have a fear of rejection, you might want to stop. And before you keep walking, take a breath. Perhaps you want to have a little mantra, a little something that you decide that you're going to say. For some people, it's almost like not knowing how to approach the other. And we think we have to have a deep conversation before we can have a first step. The first step is, hey, I keep seeing you here. Do you live in the area? A first step might be, you have a beautiful smile. I just wanted to stop and let you know. Another step would be to say, hey, do you know where the fruit store is around this neighborhood? I just, been looking for it. You could almost, if you're at an event, you could say, hey, have you ever been here before? So those are cognitive mind or thought kind of things that you can do if you just don't know how to approach the other. But what we're really looking at is, where does the fear of rejection come from? So even if you know and you force yourself to actually have this conversation, we still need to go to the triggers so that we can change that programming, so that you can be like someone who is very outgoing and gregarious and has no problem talking to anyone anywhere. That doesn't mean that you're not insightful and seeing if somebody doesn't want to talk to you. It just means giving another an opportunity to know you. So for that, there's a 3-prong or a 3-step program where you want to change the thoughts that are creating the problem. You want to calm your body and mind. And most importantly, we want to get to the root of where the triggers are. So these are great questions for this week. I hope that some of the answers I'm giving here gives you a little hope. And basically, if you're feeling the fear, or like the man said, feels like a robot's taking over his body, know that it's probably the inner child, the young you, that had some sort of hurt, fear, or worry, or was made to feel he wasn't or she wasn't good enough. And that's what we want to work on, to move you past that. So this is Audrey Sussman signing off for today, and I hope that our paths will cross, and I'll see you in either a workshop or one of my courses, or in private workshops